Oh ho ho! Who is that on the screen right there? Oh,
You
there
said
you go.
hello to your cat last time, so figured I'd show off a little cutie.
Oh, look at the pup there. Vega, is that the name?
Vega is her name, yeah. This was
Oh
before I
yeah.
ever met the other Vega, so no relation.
Now, one of the funniest stories you've ever told me about Vega is that when you put on the VR headset, Vega doesn't like it.
Yeah, so when I first got it, I mean, for the longest time, it didn't bother her. But I got this one game, and it was like this Dungeons and Dragons type thing where you're like running around with swords and arrows, and you're shooting these troll kind of things. And but they would make this noise, they'd be like, and she just like it scared her, and she would just run and hide. And then now, like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I just like load it up, or I'll just be like, "Hey Alexa, play music," and then she already knows, like, oh, he's about to get in VR, and she'll just run and hide in the closet.
In the closet of all places.
And that's her little bunker. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Oh, what's the treats?
These are like little pumpkin things. They're pretty dang good, and they smell good. They're like made from fruit. So
I'd love.
I'd probably eat one myself.
I love when pups start to get like the white muzzle.
Bro, she got that like at a year old or a little less. She's
Wow.
like, I don't know, she's like 5 now. She'll be 5 on April Fool's Day.
On April Fools.
Yeah, I mean, she's a rescue, so I just got to pick a day that made sense to me. And she's a fool,
Gotcha.
so, but yeah, she got that. I rescued her during COVID, which was such a crazy time to try to get a dog. Yeah, because I wanted a puppy, and it was like there was no puppies. It took me like a few months to try to find one, and she was like the only one I even got to meet. They were just going so fast because everybody wanted a dog during COVID because they were just stuck at home, you know. But yeah, she got that. She got that during the bear market of 2021. Super quick.
During the bear market of 2021. Hilarious. All right, hold on. GM Heisenberger. I got this banner down here that says, "This is a test."
This is a test of the emergency broadcast
There
system.
we go. Want to join us on a stream? Send me a DM or send Alt a DM. We will get you on.
True.
Yeah. So, I saw you were up cooking late with Amir.
Yeah, we once you start chatting ideas and concepts, and then you're like, oh yeah, what about this? What about this? You know how it goes, right? And it's just like, especially if you have somebody else that's in the mix with you, you just keep pushing and pushing, and you're like, what about this? What about this? And you just before you know it, you're just building something, and you're like, you know, like okay, well, and Amir, the machine, is really good / bad about that. Like, oh, you got an idea? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's build it. Okay. You know, like ready to work. Oh, like just bust his ass all the time. I love it.
So you're like it's like Bert Kreischer, the machine.
I don't know what that is.
You never heard the Bert Kreischer skit, The Machine, like from stand up?
I don't know who Bert Kreischer is.
2 Bears, 1 Cave.
I don't know. But that made me think of something else when you said that.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Some people out there know, and they're still traumatized. I still punch my friend in the face every time I see him, the one that showed me that.
Oh my God. yeah, well, he deserves to be punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
I
Let
did
me
not forward that thing.
let me share my screen so you can see what I'm looking at when I talk about Bert Kreischer. Share and add to stage. You ever seen Bert Kreischer? This guy?
I mean, maybe. I can't blow it up.
He just had a new stand-up that came out, but
Oh yeah,
literally,
yeah. Okay, yeah, I know this guy. I just
literally
thought
he's known
I didn't know
for
his
The
name, but
Machine. Like there's the movie that came out relative to
oh,
the
there was a
story.
movie. Oh,
It
okay.
like dramatized his stand-up. Basically,
Oh, really?
the gist here is like when Bert was in college, I think he went on an exchange program to Russia and ended up getting into a situation with the Russian mob and like
This is like true, or this was his stand up?
no, it's supposedly a true story, but he
Oh, okay.
tells it in stand up where
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
he gets in with the Russian mafia and he's like, you know, he ends up robbing the train with them and they ask him what his name is and he says he's the Machine, could like kind of have joking, and he's like drinking vodka and all hell breaks loose, right? As you can imagine. He
Oh
robbed all
boy.
his classmates. But funny stand up if you ever see the
Yeah.
Machine. The movie is what you probably imagine the movie to be. Uh
Yes.
but yeah, no, it was pretty hilarious stand up, not gonna
Okay.
lie.
Yeah. No, I've seen a little bit of his stuff, but not a ton of it.
Yeah.
Now I know what you're talking about.
Now you know what I'm talking about. So I've had my head under a rock here for a couple days. Is there anything interesting going on in the Luxo ecosystem that you want to chat about?
Um, Here, let me screen share.
Yeah, I'm glad that you figured out how to do
All
this.
right. All right. Let's see.
Here, while you're waiting, just as a reminder today, folks, there's a live stream coming up starting. It's you know uh 1 p.m. my time. Um, that's Eastern time.
There's
That
the live
is
stream. Oh, Eastern.
for sorry, brain fart.
Oh, I was
This,
like, what?
this is how
Did
the
we
new
lose
token
connection?
standards
You were,
differ from ERC20 and ERC 721. So it's literally a talk being given in the Luxo Hub about LSP 7 and 8, how they differentiate from the ERC20 and the 721 that kind of are proliferate across the other EVMs. So this is kind of a cool little, like, if you're looking for some entertainment, you'll probably be entertained. Uh, Little pop up from Luxo here. So
like
I
one of
don't know if you saw
those,
that one yet.
like 3 hours.
Yeah, roughly
I
from
did
now.
see that one. And I see there's pizza and drinks provided. How is German pizza?
Ge- how is German pizza? I don't know. What I did have was Thai, German, Bavarian cuisine. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Wisdom took us there when we were in Thailand. That was the
Oh,
most
okay. That's
surreal experience of
that's
my
the
life.
most. Yeah. I was at. That was like one of the last nights, right?
No, that was one of the first nights. That was when
Oh.
you were like,
Oh, that's right. Okay.
you
Yeah.
went out to Italian,
Oh,
and I
that's
was
right.
like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do this other weird thing.
I was like,
It
well, we
didn't.
can go with some of the team members and Fabian to get Italian, or go roll the dice. I was like, oh, they both sounding good.
Yeah, I rolled the dice. I see that you had actually in your screen share were about to
Same
pull
thing.
up the
Yeah.
exact same thing.
Yeah. So I don't need to now.
Well,
Thanks.
you could still keep going further.
We'll share my screen and then
Well, okay, sharing your screen because I don't want to. Again, I'm always afraid of the nipple slips and
don't be afraid of it. Welcome it.
welcome it. All right,
Because
there
if
you
it
go.
happens, I mean, if they're like, "Hey, you see that stream today? They got a dog on there, and there's nipple slips." It's great. It's great. Okay, so did you see this one from Extrapi today? Luxo doesn't just fork Ethereum; it reimagines it. Smart contract-based accounts, gasless transactions, flexible permissions. Now, I saw you shared that when you said make sure you bookmark this one
Yeah,
on this new article.
I flagged it, but I didn't actually get the chance to even read the article yet. Um,
Same. I may have just posted a bit ago.
but given the need for security audits in the Luxo ecosystem, this obviously needed to be surfaced. And then also the connection between the master chef, Jean Caballero,
Yeah.
and I believe the head of Extra P was the guy who got him into smart contract design. So
Wow, that's cool.
yeah, so there's definitely a connection here. And we want to make sure if someone's casting attention our way, we as a community, we want to make sure that we're sending that attention back out.
For sure.
Right.
Well said. Yeah. Okay. So what else we got? We got the mirror machine working a little bit here. What this one says? Apps Live is now live on Chrome. App Lens. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah. So I'm not really sure. I think it looks kind of like it might be a browser extension that highlights. It's kind of like an app store kind of thing, where it shows a bunch of apps that you could use.
Interesting. So App Lens, you could just like click on it. Again, you're just looking at the picture there. You're not actually on App Lens.
Right.
It looks like you could click open and get there. Some days my phone doesn't go off at all. My phone has gone off no fewer than 490 times since we started this stream. And I do not understand why people can't understand. Now I'm bitching at someone who doesn't even know. Why can't you understand that you're bothering me?
Damn you, don't you know I'm streaming?
Don't you know that I'm doing something right now?
Damn it. But yeah, it looks like, you can even select category and just kind of fly through some mini apps to check out, which that's cool.
Yeah, nice.
Let's see what else we got here. Oh, did you see this one?
Oh, from Socrates. Said minutes 26:30 to 34, and the pod is worth a listen. You'll realize the value of Luxo. The answer is I haven't had a chance to listen to that yet. The other thing is I got a personal text from this individual that said, damn, Luxo is effing undervalued.
What?
What? Right? Like,
yeah.
So did you listen to it?
Yeah. There's only your only reply should have been,
who hasn't heard about that? You're late to the party.
Yeah, I did listen to it. I got pretty technical, but they're just talking basically account abstraction, which I wonder. Let me see. Oh wait, so then, how do you change tabs once you're already sharing?
Look up at the top. It says sharing to X. Share this tab.
Oh, wait, share this tab instead. Bam! Look at that.
Oh, look at you.
Welcome to the future of streaming.
For 2025, we need Fusaka bandwidth saving.
Protects cost reduction. First in protocol version of account do to bring that to some like higher number that's not like a 5-10x increase. So I think that's like a good mental model to think about it. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. All right, I feel like we've actually covered a decent amount of Pectra so far and a little bit beyond. Is there, going back to Pectra, are there any other updates making it into Pectra that are worth highlighting? I know there's often just like a bunch of little things that maybe like are too in the weeds to talk about. But is there anything else, any other stones that we should unturn around Pectra?
I guess one last big one is EIP 7702. So this effectively is the first in protocol version of account abstraction we'll have on Ethereum. And like I was saying, there's something that's been in the works for a really long time. And the way EIP 7702 works is that you can use any account on Ethereum, so any regular EOA, but you can delegate to an account which adds smart contract functionality to it. So for example, you could have something like, I have my EOA and I want to delegate to something that gives me the equivalent to a safe. And this is kind of neat because it means you can use your existing account with all of your assets and everything there. And you can effectively choose like, oh, this is like the smart wallet I want to run under this account. And you can change this over time. So maybe I have like, my EOA today, I want to delegate it to some sort of safe-esque wallet. So I can do that. But then maybe there's like some other feature that I want to use, or like on another wallet, I want to use, say, auto approvals up to $1,000, right? Like I want to have some smart wallet that just gives me a better UX. I'm able to then use 7702 for on that separate wallet, or to change a delegation on my previous wallet, move to a different sort of smart account. So this is a very nice model because it kind of gives the users the flexibility to choose what they're delegating to revoke that delegation as well, to say like, oh, I don't like this thing anymore. I can go and move back to like not being delegated or delegated to some other feature. And it kind of gives the ecosystem the ability to keep innovating on this, right? Where maybe, we expect there's not going to be like hundreds of these different smart wallets, but say there's like, 5 or 10 that are developed in the next year that are, well audited, well tested and whatnot. And they're great. People use them. But perhaps 2 years from now, someone comes up with like a new idea or a new version. They can just go and, ask people to change their delegation to them. So it's still something that like kind of allows for innovation in the space and doesn't lock you in to say, oh, you delegated once, you used the safe once and now you're kind of stuck with it, which is how a lot of smart wallets work today. Because effectively, if you have like a safe account deployed, that is like the smart contract, like the address is the safe. So 7702 is more like your EOA has a pointer to a specific type of smart account. And so this is the other thing that'll be going live in Pectra. That's kind of a huge deal.
Yeah, this is relatively new to me. So my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that my EOA, which for listeners who don't know what an EOA is, externally
owned address.
Externally owned address. Wow, it has been a while. Externally owned address.
Yeah.
And that's just like if that's your MetaMask, that's your Ledger, that's your Rabby wallet. It just means that it's an account that is owned by something external, as in your private keys is I think what is being referenced externally. And then in contrast to that is a smart contract wallet, which is the owner of a smart contract wallet is going to be an EOA, not itself. Okay, so with this, what you were describing.
Okay, maybe we can stop it there. But yeah, like they get into kind of the weeds there a little bit on the technical side of, but it's interesting to hear people trying to figure out how to grab a small piece of what Luxo has and then build with that. And then even talking like, well, maybe in 2 or 3 years we'll get there. And it's like when you just kind of hear it from perspective of builders and other ecosystems focusing on account abstraction, yeah, it's really clear how far ahead Luxo really is. Like, and the fact that it's at the core level, with these universal profiles and LSPs, with the ERC 725, the identity standard, right? Like all this stuff's at the core. It's already built to be updatable, upgradable, sustainable, right? Instead of trying to like, well, maybe we'll build this for a year or two, and then maybe somebody else gives something better, then maybe we can get everybody to switch over, and it's like, like I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, even on that tidbit that we listened to right there.
I feel like I would need to listen to more to like really hear what Tim was going to bring up relative to like maybe what some limitations are around 7702. I think the part I really want to highlight here is it's like Luxo is not different than Ethereum. Luxo is Ethereum. Right. Luxo is literally just like let's think of it as like a playground where people can experiment with this new suite of like comprehensive or connected ideas that were centered around, again, a profile centric experience where identity is at the core and it's not tokenization at the core.
Right.
This doesn't mean that all of these good ideas won't leak their way back across the EVMs. In fact, they probably should. Again, maybe it won't be all of them connected. Maybe it will just be like cherry picking the ones that are best. But I think as a community, we almost have to like walk it back from we're doing something correctly and everyone else is doing it wrong and they're disconnected from us, and instead be more from this global viewpoint of like, hey, come over here and play around, because like you can't do it over there. Figure out why this is cool, and then understand that a lot of this stuff can then be like brought back. These concepts can be brought back to where you're native, or maybe you'll just decide once you're here that like you like this ecosystem and the fact that there isn't all that noise, and maybe you'll keep developing on that line. What we can't do is like this idea that like, it's almost like what we can't do is go to the island within eye shot of the city and give it the middle finger and hope they'll ship us goods. Hey, we've declared the new country of Pretoria, like in Family Guy, right? Like, here's our little island, here's our little new country, and it's all great until everybody you're surrounding is like, damn, you're just putting us all down all the time. Like, we don't want to engage with you. And that's like a community driven thing in general. Like, we should probably stop giving Vitalik the middle finger underneath every one of his posts. Like, it's just like, there's something really organic here and interesting. We need to almost like reframe our entire communication around, hey, come check out what we're doing here because it's super cool and you want to be super cool with us, because that's the general vibe of our community. Like, I understand the messaging. People just want other people to come get involved, but like, generally alts, we're not going to be friends if I'm like, look at you, stupid.
I know, right?
Look at how cool I am and you're dumb. Like,
I think that's like leaning into the concept, because like the future of blockchain is not going to be, and that's kind of like that tribal mentality, right, of early on, and it makes sense. I mean, it's natural whenever a group of people have money invested in a certain thing, and then they're like, okay, let's only show this, and everything else is toxic. You know what I mean? But it's like, no, really, the future is going to be an ecosystem of blockchains, right? So like leaning into the concept of the Ethereum verse, it's like, okay, like you're going to have this pool of Ethereum L1s that will kind of get you what you need depending on where you're at, right? But like, yeah, the more we can lean into that, supporting each other, and then like, hey, check out these cool tools that we have. You can't really do that where you're at. So, and that's kind of what's great about where we're at with universal profiles and mainnet and LSPs and things. Like, now the building blocks are there, right? So it's like through things like these hackathons, throwing out mini apps, and it's like those are things that can kind of spark some of this discussion in other areas of like what we're about. And then obviously once we get more integration, through a bridge and universal profiles being interoperable and et cetera, like I think we'll continue to attract more people, and it's a two-way street, right? Like you said, some people might come and take an idea and go build it elsewhere, or ship something back this way, or like, oh man, I had this thing over in this other ecosystem, but I would like to see what it's like if it ran over here with LSPs, So like, I think it's a two-way street, I think, but it's good for both sides.
Yeah, in order to contribute to a conversation, like there has to be, in order to contribute to the conversation, there has to be more than one party that's speaking, right? And like, in the desire to bring attention to oneself, like you can't let you can't try to bring attention to yourself by cutting the other person down. Like, karmically, it's just not going to work. So like, we're really cool here, and the way we're going to bring attention to it is by telling every other blockchain they suck and that they should pay attention to us. Probably karmically not going to be the best thing. Like, it's probably not going to work. Where like, if we're like, hey, we're really cool here and you guys are cool too, let's all be cool together, there's way more of an opportunity for those people to engage, because they don't feel like they're losing anything, like,
right.
There is like, in the human sense, like, if you position yourself as being so much better than me, then why would I want to interact with you? Right?
Well, it's like, it's almost like when you want to talk religion with somebody, it's like you might come from different backgrounds and different religions. Like, you need to kind of be respectful of each other's to have any sort of discussion. Because if you just come in there judging them, for their stance and stuff, it's more about, I mean, and that's one of those things too, is like you always have stuff, you can always learn from other people's perspectives, right? Same thing goes in this space, right? From a builder side or community side, whatever. It's like everybody's journey is a bit different. So it's like the best way to kind of improve where your journey's headed is to learn from others,
Just be open to the conversation, Alts, right? Like, we're not asking for much. And again, I don't want to, I'm not bringing this up because I think that like we're wrong. Like, wow, this is terrible. Let me admonish you. Let me slap you on the wrist for bad behavior. It's more like, I'm not talking you. I mean, like, global you.
Hey.
Listen, later on, take yourself out back and smack yourself around for me. No, it's more of just like bringing attention to how our communication patterns can improve, right? Because we've all been around for a long time, and like, some of the people in our community have been around for long enough that maybe we should rethink how we frame these discussions, because like we have to live in the world where, like you said, it's multi-chain, and like Ethereum is a technology. It's not just a network, right? And like we leverage Ethereum technology. Like when Pectra comes in, Luxo, which is an Ethereum clone, an ETH2 clone, is going to use Pectra, right? So like, or could implement the elements. Again, there's no guarantee on what comes into the network, but like every bit of research done over there benefits us, and being a good participant in the ecosystem, then every bit of research that we do should potentially benefit other EVMs if they're willing and want to pay attention. What we do, again, like the calling nobody out by name, but you can easily find these accounts which are like, again, giving Vitalik the middle finger or insert your favorite chain. You guys suck underneath every post from that chain. Yeah, probably not. If your goal is to let them know that you are displeased with them, you're doing a great job. If the goal is to attract a curious and interested party back to this playground so they can see what's going on, you're not exactly creating a welcoming atmosphere. It's kind of like, I'm the kid on the playground and I want to play with you guys. So what I do is I walk up and I punch you in the face. Right? Like, like most of us have learned that lesson, that it doesn't work so well.
Well, even like the best way, I mean, it's tough on the timeline, right? To like actually get engagement with the people that you want to chat with. But the best way to do it is to just, meet them in the middle, even on your comments. Like, you don't even shill Luxo, just talk about whatever the concept, if it's identity, if it's account abstraction or whatever. It's like you can just be abstract with it and just let it kind of organically build from there, because that's ultimately the way you got to do it. The same way that you onboard your friends and family in Web 2, right? You don't just come at them and like, you're stupid, why don't you get into crypto? No, it's like you kind of like, so what do you think of gold? That's where I start or whatever. And it's like, you kind of just get a narrative going, and then you can kind of weave them in there, based off of kind of their experiences and knowledge, right?
Yeah. You guys are so dumb. You're so dumb. You didn't buy Bitcoin. I can't believe how stupid you are. And then the price crashes and everybody's like, wow, you're an idiot.
You're stupid.
How's that going for you? It's just an endless cycle of
exactly.
Where, like, again, depending on the day, depending upon the value proposition, depending upon token price, you have very different actors who are engaging in the ecosystem. I always know pretty much what's going on from a sentiment perspective because I see it directly in our viewership. If the token price tripled overnight, there'd be 10 times as many people watching being like, where's the alpha? Where's the alpha? Where's the alpha? Where really the alpha in any ecosystem is by showing up every day and paying attention and sorting out the signal through the noise. What is the noise? The noise is the chorus of the same opinion that's parroted over and over again, like seagulls going like, mine. And like the signal is going to be somewhere out there. Someone is cutting through it with a message that is important. And like, I might not be that guy giving you that message, or Alts might not be that guy, but somebody might be giving a pretty good message. And that's why I brought up Luxo Intern. This guy came from nowhere, like, or girl, or alien,
or AI,
crocodile, reptilian. I don't know where Luxo Intern came from, but they've been doing a pretty good job. Have you been paying attention to this account?
Yeah. No, they've been putting out great stuff.
Only 171 followers. Why? I know why. Because people are exhausted. But Luxo Intern is, again, has potentially been around for a while. They say they've been around for a while. But took it upon themselves to start, again, trying to put out some educational content to illuminate why Luxo is important in their eyes. And it provides just another opportunity for people to engage with this material. And what I like about Luxo Intern actually is not just the, Jordy said, big shout out Luxo Intern. You're doing an insane job. Thank you. What I like about the intern, I'm already intern. What I like about the intern is the intern has actually been pretty good about replying to people.
Yeah.
Right.
In a constructive
way.
Yeah.
Right. In a constructive way. Not just like, yelling at them, and like then also like engaging with people who are upset. Like D-Minimus has been around for a while. I haven't sold a single coin, but I've been telling friends, I've gone from telling friends it's a great investment to silently hoping for a reversal. And a lot of people are feeling that way. This is independent of the native coin of Luxo. Insert your favorite coin that you were championing, right? So, you know, it's important that like underneath there's some empathy. And again, interns, like, I totally understand your point of view. I wouldn't blame you. Have I had moments of doubt? Yes, but I've been regularly, this is the key, right? This is unplanned, but I was just reading here quickly. He's like, hey, have I had moments of doubt? Yeah, but I've been using the tech regularly. I've played around with the apps. I've created multiple profiles. I set up recovery. I sign into pages with the mobile app. Everything works so smoothly. That's what gives me hope. That's what inspires me on the possibilities of what Luxo can achieve. I'm more certain than ever before that the Web3 space needs this tech. And that's why, and that's the only reason that keeps me going in this ecosystem, and the only ways I know how to communicate the vision to the masses. Okay. I don't know. This could be Fabian behind the Luxo intern. I don't think it is, but it could be. But the main point is like you're communicating the vision. What is the vision here? And the vision is inclusive. The vision is like, the vision actually brings people in, should be welcoming and bringing people in. And that's where I'm drawing attention to like if you want to bring people in, then like, let's not be so maybe attacking in the replies, even though that's what I guess crypto Twitter is good for, is just like shit posting and shit talking. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, is you put that is like those conversations and those nuggets of information. That is some of the alpha, right? That is some of the signal through the noise. So yeah, shout out to the people that share those side of things. And I don't know that you're going to get like this true signal from any one individual, right?
No.
Yeah, you kind of need to find a collection of voices. And really the signal comes from yourself, right? Like the biggest signal, like they just said, like you can go in there and use the technology, right? When you're actually playing around with the universal profile and, you know, playing a mini app game or a lottery or roasting somebody or all these things that you can do directly from your smart contract based account, like it just really starts to open your eyes to like, man, that's actually pretty badass. Like I can't do that at other places. Like that's really cool. And then you can kind of extrapolate out from there, like where that's all going to head. But then once you kind of get that understanding of, okay, we are really far ahead on a lot of things, right? Not in every way, obviously, and we don't have the core building blocks that like a lot of chains have when they launch, like with DeFi and stables and bridges and all these things. But we're getting those pieces, right? We just kind of started at the other end because we wanted to be something different and something more, right? So it's been more painful, obviously, going that route, you know, but I think it'll be more fruitful in the long term because it will be more organic and more sustainable and updatable and growing, you know, into perpetuity. But also, it's going to have a bit of a different vibe. You know, the kind of energy we're trying to attract. There's nobody else really doing that. You know, so that's kind of the nice part about the social side of things. Yeah, so I don't know. I think we got some good voices, and I'd love to see more come online when we have them.
Yeah, it's the old like, you can't win the race in the first marathon, right? It's a very, very long race. Even the best runners in the world, it takes 2+ hours to run it. You can't win the race in the first mile, but you can lose the race in the first mile. And like the only way you can really lose is to stop, you know? In this case here, it's like we have to remember it's a marathon and not a sprint, especially with the development of an ecosystem. And like you said, this ecosystem has been attacked from a slightly different direction with Luxo, in that it was attacked from building up this really core interoperability around a profile-centric network. That is such an incredible value proposition.
Yeah.
The greater public has just yet to wake up to it. Why? Well, frankly, our general understandings of what blockchain can be are so limited.
Yes,
and I'm making a generalization, sure, but like they're really limited by the scope of discourse that actually is available out there in a lot of these social medias, where people are trying to gather all of this, trying to gather signal from the static, right? Like most of the big accounts, they are not talking about any use cases specced out in the original Ethereum white paper beyond DeFi.
Right.
Maybe they'll leak a little bit into some DAOs, but like there's nothing else there, man. Like when the original vision for Ethereum has been, I won't call it bastardized, but limited, grossly limited by the like general, I will call it value set of the participants in the ecosystem, motivated purely by short-term financial gain. Right. And that's what's been glorified, right? Remember, it's even sold to us Lambos.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like,
Well, I mean,
hey,
that's what kind of stalled it, or like kind of pigeonholed it a bit, right? So, I mean, shout out Fabian for. I mean, he understood that years ago, right? Like so early on when they started Luxo, and wanting to get that infrastructure, a united front built, because that's, I mean, that was one of the problems with Ethereum, is that everyone was so damn excited to run with anything that it got fragmented early on, you know. And then in order to make changes, it's extremely difficult, and you'd have to like backtrack a lot of things or piecemeal things, and yada yada yada. So like, I mean, yeah, that biggest chunk was obviously DeFi, right? So it is what it is, you know. But like, and even like, it's like if you ask the average person, kind of like, what's an NFT? Like, it's a picture of a monkey, you know. Like they don't have a clue, you know. Like
it's a Bored Ape.
yeah,
Or-
exactly. They have no clue, even though like, you know, we all know that like, yeah, everything's going to be an NFT at some point. That's just kind of the nature of the evolution of this tech, right?
You're hitting the nail on the head there, right? Like non-fungible token technology is extremely more has use cases that extend far beyond collectible art,
Yeah.
right? Contracts themselves can lend for an incredible variety of applications that can disrupt modern systems.
Yeah.
Circling back to what I said before, unfortunately, the incentive of financial gain, short-term financial gain, and how we glorify that in media, especially social media, through influencers, through carefully curated looks into people's lives, where like someone might not even own the Lambo, they rented it for a photo shoot, right? Stood in front of a mansion and then put it on their Instagram and then glorify that lifestyle. Like that erosion of like, I don't know, what do I want to say? Like,
Well, like, I mean, the average person just doesn't understand that dichotomy, right? What you see is what you get, even though, like you said, it's totally curated. Like, I mean, like I've worked on like broadcast reality shows before. Like I've seen from behind the scenes, and it's like literally everything that you see on the screen is fake and staged. And social media is no different, right? Like, yeah, they'll rent the Lambo or go borrow something to make it look. It's all just staged, right? Like, but it's the same thing in Web3, right? We're no different. So it's like, yeah, you have to kind of look past that front to understand what's really going on in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, it's you have to be able to think for yourself on some level. Now, I don't want to cheapen this, because people are going to be like, yeah, well, money is important. It's how we pay for food and housing and all these other things. And I would say, with my sassiest head, like, yeah, I get it. I understand. I also pay for my food and my house and transportation and insurance and all of these other things. But like, any one of those items that I just mentioned can be improved, right? It can be improved by blockchain technology, and the infrastructure that delivers those core pieces to my life, those core infra pieces to my actual stability of my life, can be disrupted by blockchain technology. So like, the tokenization of things isn't the end. It is the means to the end. And we got stuck at like, we created token, trade meme value, end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that's why there's so much pain out there, because like a lot of the participants in the ecosystem who honestly could give more aren't. And a lot of the people that we've attracted to the ecosystem are not global thinkers. They're not like really trying to push it forward. They're just trying to suck as much value and opportunity from it without returning anything. There's no feedback loop.
Yeah.
Right. It's like sucking blood from a stone at this point. Right. You know, even I'll say like in 2021, even when people were selling collectible art, like there were a lot of real creators that were just trying to gain exposure to global audiences for the thing that they were burning inside to produce. And those creators, like you couldn't support enough of them. You're like, I'll collect your stuff.
Yeah.
And then people realized that it was easy to make money that way. So then you started to get the grift on top of it a little bit, and it cheapened it. And over time that bubble burst. And what sucks is real creators still exist out there, but nobody's buying their art through again, blockchain, which was like this cool authentication system that improved their life and distribution of their art. Now they're getting it's almost like attention has completely died out, because we went from supporting the artist to saying Web3 is going to save the world. So what does that mean to the average person? Oh, I buy JPEG. It goes to, if I hold it for a month, it will increase in value and I can dump it on somebody else, where nobody is like, it robbed, I don't know. It like sucked the soul out of it all. So, you know, like
it cheapened it for sure. Yeah.
Like it killed it.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like, that's just the nature of the beast. Like, it doesn't matter what technology it is. Like, I mean, every sector has this same type of bubbles, right? Like crypto is interesting because it's like, it kind of needs a new form every time, but it's the same thing, right? It's just like, oh, this is the new thing and it's going to change everything. And it's like, really, it's not yet. It will, you know, these things are, but it's like when you first get in it, you're like, oh man, yeah, NFTs are going to be the future. And it's like, yeah, okay, we're way ahead of the game. That's where they got you. You know, your mind takes you 10, 20 years out, and then they just try to sell to, they try to just extract the money while you're daydreaming about where the future's headed,
While you're daydreaming.
Yeah. And it's like, but it's the same thing, whether it was, okay, tokens and then, NFTs, and then what's the next thing, right? Like, it's just cyclical. But, at the bottom of these cycles is there's still technology that's evolving that will be game changing, way beyond just that first initial monetary signal, right?
I think there are like these thought cycles that come up, and sometimes I'm like direct quoting Alex Van Desenda, who actually is one of the brains behind Mist. And I'm bringing this up because this thought process, like I said, is cyclical.
Yeah.
This was from the earliest days of Ethereum. I'm fairly certain like this could have potentially been like right at the time of mainnet or a little bit before, like mocking up how interactions on Ethereum could be. And like the scope of what, let's not say technical implementation was at the time, right? Like let's move away from that. Let's just think of the scope of the vision versus what we actually have achieved and got right now is so divergent. How anyone can like look at what we're doing today and say we've achieved the mission of we've achieved the vision that was brought forth with Ethereum is it would be like, I want to choose my words carefully because I'm trying to be inclusive with my language. Like you're missing the forest through the trees, right? Like you're not looking, you don't even understand where you're at and what is possible because you're so focused on what's in front of you. And what's in front of us right now is, here's a new chain and they've got liquidity and liquidity is great. Go to Barachain, screw Ethereum mainnet. Ethereum mainnet's terrible. Don't do anything with Ethereum mainnet. They're terrible people. Oh no, new Sonic popped up. Go to Sonic now. And then people will move away from Sonic. And then they'll choose another chain that they'll run to. And then once that's no longer vogue, they'll leave away and they'll run away. And it's like this hype cycle around where can influencers draw attention to extract what they can. And then the average market participant is just kind of screwed. None of that is not the focus of, like, again, what was even proposed here in the Mist browser. Like, what is Mist? Like, why Mist? These questions, you can go back and you can find this video. Just Google Mist browser on Google. And I won't play the whole video because it's 24 minutes long here, right? But like, when you look at what the Mist browser was, the Mist browser had like this interface where you should be able to message people. You had your property that was on chain. You might be able to, again, participate in network security. There, as I go forward here, there might be a catalog, right? A catalog of different types of applications that you could use. You want to do business on the internet. Maybe there's an escrow application. Maybe there's a family trust you want to set up, a money manager. And, there's so many ways that this could look using smart contract technology, but there's other things that can happen, right? So maybe there's an app store. That's what catalog looks like. Like they had this vision for looking at just your, like, a general dashboard, which would show your property. It might show your accounts, that looking just at your asset overview. It might look at, again, selling drought insurance. That's a pretty wild thought.
Yeah.
Right. But like, why couldn't you have these more global, why couldn't you have insurance that isn't sold right next door, that is maybe socialized across a huge number of market participants, that doesn't have a middleman that just sits to extract fees? There's a lot of potential here. Here's a crowdfunder, right? And we've seen these general ideas pop up, but we haven't seen it really take off. And there's reasons for that. Maybe we lack the identification systems, the identity systems needed to really make something like this feel more Web 2, right? Profile based. Again, a catalog. What was this one here? You're going through and you're creating a family trust, right? Just as a legal operation, which is all secured by smart contracts. This one here was talking about security, right? Like, look, you could add, if you died and you could prove via an Oracle alts that your beneficiary had your death certificate, that then they could gain access through social recovery to your accounts. Like, that's another cool idea. Like, there's a lot that.
Yeah, but then that motivates people to kill you.
Yeah.
Your family will take you out so they can get your handles.
So I bring this up because, like, this was part of the original vision. This is like literally the people building the first interfaces for Ethereum, of which Fabian was one, were thinking like this. So when you think of it in that context, alts, like, oh my God, aren't we just making a return to something like that? Oh, you can't see what I'm looking at. Aren't we just making a return to something like that with this profile-centric economy, where you have your tokens, your collectibles? Would it be that much of a stretch to have, maybe you want to, like, engage in a loan, find a loan. I got a button, find a loan, click, and it connects me to like a peer-to-peer lending market where I can find a match for the loan that I want. Or like, I could click a button and I've got social recovery, or I click a button and I've got a chat, or I click a button and I've got insert your favorite use case here. Is that so wild a thought? Right? And as a market participant, should we demand that? Should we be happy with using my MetaMask to have a sweaty palms and little beads of sweat because I've got to send an NFT to another friend through some interface where I can't tell if it's them? I got to read the hexadecimal string and be like, oh my God, is that an A? Or I can't see it, like,
the
I don't
pain
feel like
points.
it's
Yeah.
too much to ask, man.
No, I mean, that was that's kind of the way I always thought it would play out too. That I thought that we would be taking Web 2 and Web 3 and kind of merging them in different interesting ways. But I guess because I mean the route we first started was like, okay, we're completely different. No, fuck Web 2. We're Web 3. We're doing it this way, yada yada yada. And it's like, yeah, we kind of that was just part of the cycle because we thought it was more dystopian, right? Where like we need to be 1,000% decentralized to avoid the government trying to kill us. You know, like that was like the OG, vibes going back to like the 80s and 90s, right? When the people started talking about this type of stuff. But yeah, I think we're just so far ahead of the game, right? Like, yeah, maybe someday we'll need that, but like, really, the place to be is kind of merging Web 2 and Web 3. That way, it's just kind of a natural evolution. Yeah, so I mean, why wouldn't it be profile and identity and social, like just social, like right? Because it's like out of all the stuff you do in Web 2, what percentage of it is social? Like, and I say social meaning you have an account, you have friends or pictures or whatever, like pretty much everything, right? Like I feel like everything you do now, you have to create a little profile and you have to connect and upload information, and even as simple as like our browser extension here, like the main information that sits on your browser extension, your handle, your PFP, your banner, your bio, your links, right? And that the great thing about this with Luxo is you connect to anything, it just pulls that. You don't have to do it again, as opposed to Web 2. Every time you got to make a million different logins and a million different profiles across all these. That's as simple as that is. From Web 2 to Web 3 is just unifying it into one profile, right? All your activity and stuff. Like, who wouldn't want that? If that's kind of what we were selling to the average person, I feel like they would be way more about it, as opposed to trying to get them to run through the 20 steps of setting up something so they can buy a picture of an ape, and then get dumped on. Like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just like looking at this. Check this out. I don't know why X is doing this to us.
What's up?
Watch this. So I'm like looking at viewership, right?
Yeah.
And typically we would have like a lot of people checking this out. Like, look at this link. Look how it's not showing the embedded
Yeah.
stream.
I don't know. Does yours do that as well, or is that just mine?
No, mine doesn't do it either. I was just looking. Like, there's not showing the embedded stream.
Yeah, it's It did that last week on mine too, and I reposted it a couple of times, and I was like, why is that not showing up?
Yeah, it's so weird because, like, again, not that I don't need a million people watching this show, but like, this is how it should look. There should be discoverability in the frame.
Yeah. Well, it
This is
basically would show the live stream as it is.
Yeah, because people might run across it, and that's all we're trying to do. Is just like, again, maybe it's entertaining, maybe it's not. We're just carrying a conversation. We want people to join. We want people to engage with the information. Part of it is the reason we do it like this, and it's not just audio based, is because we want people to engage with the visual. But today, like, look at this. It's just giving me a link. Does it want me to schedule
Okay,
things
so
ahead like this?
Go to my page, like what I just tweeted. And maybe this is the way we got to start doing it now. Maybe they're trying to just like throttle the actual posting directly from our stream. But I just went into the stream and then posted that.
What do you mean? What'd you do?
Like, I just clicked into the stream. Like, click that. Like, click it. Like, pull it up. Like, go. Like, click the stream. Yeah. And then you basically just share that link.
Interesting.
Or no, you're not. You're still not even there. You're on the tweet.
Yeah. So
So
you're saying I got to go in here.
Like, click the link. Yeah, share that.
This feels like 57 messages, 50 things that I don't need to do. So this is a test. Check out the stream. Check out the stream. There we go.
Yeah, so maybe we just gotta kind of cheat it a little bit to get it showing up. But yeah, I noticed that last week they just changed that.
Yeah, see, it still didn't work for me. Look,
Well, it worked for me. What are you doing wrong?
I don't know what I did wrong.
What are you doing wrong, bro?
That's weird though. Everything else you see, Angel D says he only saw the link.
But you saw it on mine, right? You can see the stream on mine, right?
Yeah. Right. Like the second this was shared, again, immediately more people jump in. Look at this. I posted natively. Oh, you can't actually see this. I only have 20 people in on my, like, underneath my post. Normally that would be like 150.
Well, even since I tweeted mine just now, yeah, we've gotten like
First 10
5
minutes.
or 8 people. Yeah.
Why is it throttling like that? I don't understand.
Because we're trying to take them down. We're talking about the decentralized future of
All right.
social
So
media.
how did you do this? How did you make that happen?
So click on, like just click on the link there, like the actual stream. Yeah, and then go to the up top. Well, I didn't do that. I went to the URL and just copied that.
Oh, you copied the URL
Yeah,
just straight.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's what we got to do. Yeah, we got
uh,
like 15 viewers popped in already just since then.
so weird, man. But it's something to pay attention to because like that. Oh no, now it's got it embedded. There we go. Now we're embedded. So weird. Just so weird.
Yeah, but it didn't used to do that. It only started last week.
Yeah, no, it used to come up. Anyway, if you're listening to Alt and I wonder what the hell is going on, Twitter.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, this happened last week, right? Where live viewers were down and I was like, what is going on? I don't really understand. Again, we're not monitoring this because we're like, yeah, come watch us. It's just like, it's a number that is in the top left of our viewport and you can see what is happening from a viewership perspective. So like, if it looks weird, like, again, one day you're like, all right, people just don't care. When it happens twice, you're like, okay, what is happening? And we come to find out it's just not posting the video, so people aren't running across it. Muy interesante, Alts. Muy interesante.
Well, because they don't. I mean, even though, we're using our stream system, and it's just way better than posting natively through Twitter. But they'd still want you. They would prefer you just to do it straight through Twitter and have less tools.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, they'll probably try to block everything they can.
Interesting.
But we're on to you, Twitter.
Yeah, I'm on to you now, Twitter. Well, it's important, right? Like people are starting to use StreamYard. You really want that. Like you do things for a reason. You don't like, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I'm old man yelling at cloud now.
Old man yelling at cloud. Okay, so let me go back to my stream.
I'm on your screen. Oh no, I'm not. Hold on. There we go.
Okay. Oh yeah. So yeah, shout out Felix. He put up a really great write up here. Part 1 of 4 on decentralized societies. Sure
I've been so busy this week. I haven't read anything. I haven't done anything. I feel like I've been chasing my ass all week.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I was going to show you this and get your thoughts on this.
This is going to blow your mind. A startup company called BrainBridge announced today that they believe that they will be able to successfully perform a head transplant surgery in the next 8 years. The way that this would work is you would take a person with a perfectly healthy and active brain, but their body has cancer or paralysis, and transplant it to a brain dead donor body. What's crazy is that they said that by doing this, the person that's receiving the new body would still be able to maintain their memories, cognitive abilities, and consciousness. They say that the brain could last several hundred years if it had a good working body, and that might be a potential in the future, but that this would also give people with different ailments a second chance. The procedure is advanced and way over my head, but it uses robotics and AI technology to make sure that the precisions and refusing are exact. It's crazy because you have to wonder if somebody that was 6'4" will end up 5'6", or the other way around.
Thoughts?
Are we getting to what? Are we
This?
All right. Okay, hold on. I'm pulling up what my thought is.
What I'm trying to imagine the type of body that would be able to hold your big head.
A very large body.
Yeah.
All right, here I'm going to show you what came to mind the second I started watching that video. And share this tab and add to stage. Remove yours right here. That's what I
You'd rather
thought.
have your head in their gut. Yeah.
I thought about Krang.
Krang, yeah. The actual
What is
woman, right?
happening? Yeah.
Oh man.
Prasen's like, hey, what is going on here? We're about to get our heads transplanted. That's exactly right, Prasen. You walked into a mess. No, we've been streaming for about an hour. We were talking about the Mist browser just briefly, and then we got on this. So
Yeah, we got sidetracked. Thanks, Alts.
Yeah. It's all good. No, that's actually terrifying, Alts. It does bring up some real questions around like,
Right.
so if you're poor, you die. Your brain sucks. If you're
Well,
wealthy,
it's gonna cost like 1 Bitcoin. So yeah.
or
10
is it
lux.
is it something that you test into? Like if you're got an uber OP brain, like it's overpowered, then they save it. But if you're like
Oh.
if you're low IQ, they don't save it. Or is it like selective breeding where they save all the low IQ brains and create an idiocracy? And then like there's only a couple like really smart people
Maybe
left.
it's like a lottery system where, I mean, the AI would probably get to decide. So they'd be like, let's go back and check the history of our AI chat. Craig called me a douchebag for not getting his code right. So
Damn it.
he's gone. All said thank you every time he prompted
Damn
me,
it.
So saying be nice to AI.
Yeah, that's a goal.
Another question is like, where are these bodies coming from? Like, are they grown in a lab? Are they your own clones, or are they like poor schmucks that had their own lottery failure? It's like that. You ever seen that?
It's called human trafficking.
Who wrote that original story? Let me see.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, so okay. Some people here have never heard of Idiocracy. I feel compelled to show you the opening
Do it.
scene for Idiocracy right now.
I mean, I've. It's funny because like, I mean, over the last few years, I've seen so many people referencing it of like where our society's headed. Probably in the last 10 years or so, but it's
All right, here's the opening scene from Mike Judge's Idiocracy. There's a real sense that the world is moving in this direction right now. So I'm bringing it up for reference and then we can talk about it. And this movie is incredible. The first time I saw it, I don't think I got it. I was like, yeah, that's where it's headed. Alt.
play it. Let's see it. So dramatic.
As the 21st century began, human evolution was at a turning point. Natural selection, the process by which the strongest, the smartest, the fastest reproduced in greater numbers than the rest, a process which had once favored the noblest traits of man, now began to favor different traits. Most science fiction of the day
I feel like we need
predicted
to
a
watch a
future
trailer
that was
every
more
stream.
civilized and more
least one.
intelligent. But as time went on, things seemed to be heading in the opposite direction, a dumbing down. How did this happen? Evolution does not necessarily reward intelligence. With no natural predators to thin the herd, it began to simply reward those who reproduced the most and left the intelligent to become an endangered species.
Having kids is such an important decision.
We're just waiting for the right time. It's not something you want to rush into, obviously.
No way.
Oh shit, I'm pregnant again!
I got too many damn kids. I thought you was on the pill or some shit.
Hell no!
Must have been thinking of Brittany.
Brittany! No, you can't. There's no way we could have a child now. Not with the market the way it is, no.
No, that just wouldn't make any sense.
Come on out here, bitch! He don't care about you!
Yeah, well, there must be something he likes over here.
You mean nothing to me, baby? Oh, shit. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Well, we finally decided to have children, and I'm not pointing fingers, but it's not going well.
And this is helping.
I'm just saying that before I have in vitro, maybe you should be willing
It's
to.
always me, right?
Well, it's not my sperm count.
Yeah! I'm gonna fuck all y'all! That's my boy!
Cleavon is lucky to be alive. He attempted to jump a jet ski from a lake into a swimming pool and impaled his crotch on an iron gate. But thanks to recent advances in stem cell research and the fine work of Doctors Krinsky and Altschuler, Cleavon should regain full reproductive function.
Put your hands off my junk!
Unfortunately, Trevor passed away from a heart attack while masturbating to produce sperm for artificial insemination. But I have some eggs frozen, so just as soon as the right guy comes along.
And so it went for generations, although few, if any, seemed to notice. But in the year 2005, in a military base just outside of Washington, D.C., a simple Army librarian was unknowingly about to change the entire course of human history.
You'll be
Man. So I don't know about you all, but the first time I saw that, I was like, wow, that feels really true. And then use crypto Twitter as a microcosm. Doesn't it feel that way a lot?
Oh yeah, no, that that really hits home today. In this modern climate that we're at, with just like the declining birth rate is, I mean, because even that shows that like Cleavon's pumping out 100 kids, and it's like it's not even really that anymore. It's like Cleavon can't even afford it, like, but yeah, it's so like that's the way, like, I think most people I guess would probably say evolution is like survival of the fittest and the strongest, and it's like, no, that's not actually how it works. It's just more about the survival of the most efficient, which who can reproduce the most and send their traits on, right? But I think a lot about like where are humans going to be 100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, like what are we going to look like, or how are we going to act? There's some studies that show that I think with Brazilian, we're all gonna look Brazilian in like 500 years. There'll just be like one shade of human, or like 1,000 or whatever it is. Because I mean, the way it works now, everything's just like globally connected. You know what I mean? So it's like we all just kind of, it's one big melting pot, which is cool. I like a future like that. That'd be cool. And then, but yeah, the dumbing down of human society. I think it's kind of like the middle class is dying in everything, whether it's the economy, movies, TV shows like we talked about, like art, culture, the actual human IQ, right? There's just not going to be any more middle ground. It's just going to be like the polarized opposites, right? So like, what kind of society? What does society look like when there's that? So yeah, I mean, if you actually haven't seen the movie, it's pretty hilarious. It's so absurd and ridiculous, but you can also see a path that we get there.
No spoilers on this, but yeah, it is disturbing. It's disturbing how much of that movie has come to pass.
Like already, yeah. Right, yeah.
And like you think it could never get there, and then we keep descending into this chaos. And again, I am not a perfect human anyway. But how many people followed the LA vape cabal on crypto Twitter to their financial ruin? And like, what real value did those people bring to the industry or really to your lives? If you want to say entertainment, then fair enough, man. Be entertained by anyone you want. But if it's they were thought leaders in any way for you, then damn, like there's some really smart people out there that you could be reading their articles. You could be really engaging with some forward thinking. If you were calling someone a thought leader because they had insider knowledge on what NFT drop was coming and they were going to get an early allocation and dump on you, or a meme coin, shit, we deserve what we got in this short
Yeah.
term for
But
sure.
it's, I mean, it's not even just that. It's like from a cultural side of things, like that you say thought leader. It's like sadly a big chunk of thought leaders are Web 2 like influencers, because so a lot of the younger generations, they will follow and lead. Like we said, somebody that's like showing off a fake life that doesn't really exist, um, and then they're trying to put themselves through the gamut to achieve those things where it's like you're trying to achieve something that doesn't even exist, and that's a lot of pressure on yourself. And I actually saw somebody was sharing some stats on some really disturbing shit, like as far as like some of the youth and things they do listening to some of these influencers, whether it's like 9-year-olds that are having like porn addictions. That's what I heard that. I was like, that's insane. How is that even possible? And then they're like 13-year-olds that were following the guidance of their influencer. I don't remember what their name was, but they were like getting fake IDs so they can go start an OnlyFans at like 13. Like just shit like that. That's like coming from somebody that's already at the bottom of the barrel, but they're just making it seem like that's the future and the money. And it's like, yeah, man.
So
it's just, I don't. I think like parents in general, like it's probably very difficult these days to monitor a child, both IRL and their online lives, right? Like it's probably got to be very difficult.
So this is actually brings up like a really it's a good conversation around like I support free speech, but should there be some guardrails that like let me really try to be precise with my language.
Yeah.
Because the immediate reaction to any limitations, like any additional clause on I support free speech is always like, you Nazi, right? Like you evil person. But the fact of the matter is like the realm of public discourse can encompass everyone. And like you can say in theory whatever you want, but there are consequences to what you say. There are consequences to like helping ideas proliferate. That like if I'm trying to be euphemistic about like this idea of free speech, like you said, you're allowed to share the idea of go and make an OnlyFans at 13, get a fake ID, but is it ethical? Right? Like is right. Is it ethical? Is it responsible? Is there a consequence that comes with it? What is the consequence? Some people would say there should be no consequence. I would say like, man, if you're a moral person, there is some consequence out there. Again, do you believe in like a karma? Do you believe in some unknown entity that like has some morality to it? Like I don't know, man. I'm not on the bandwagon of like all speech is permissible and I'm not on the bandwagon of all speech is condoned. I'm on the bandwagon of all speech is permissible, but like
right. Yes, I'm the same. Yes, all speech is possible. Should you do it or say it, it's up to you. You have the ability to do that, but then there can be consequences and repercussions, but I think that's just kind of the culture of the modern society is like trying to get away from responsibility, right? But it's like, especially with online, the digital, like these digital lives is like you can have contact and influence over a lot of people that you won't even know exist, right? So that's a dangerous precedence. There should be more. So like, I don't know if you know about Mouse Utopia.
Yeah, you told me
I
about
mentioned
it.
that before. Yeah, it's like it's just the most fascinating thing, and I keep going back to it because it's just like whenever and it happens like in modern worlds, like that every time modernity happens in different cycles for humans throughout the history of our existence, it goes in waves and bubbles where it's like we reach a certain level of technology, in that wave to where you can exist without having, it's like a new level of existence. Like today, you can pretty much exist as a potato if you wanted. Sit on your couch. You really don't have to do anything, and you can just exist, right? So it's like you're taking a lot of the instinctual things away from it, as far as like you need to be efficient in certain ways to exist. You know what I mean? So it's like now it's like, okay, well, that's all taken out of the equation. Where do I put this energy and this mental? You know, it's like, okay, well now I can just be a degenerate, you know, and like, and then people can just lean into those things because there's no consequence. The consequences and repercussions aren't the same, right? It used to be like, okay, if you know, back in the day of a caveman, if you acted that way, you would get slaughtered and you'd be gone and out of the gene pool. You know, now, no, you can be a complete f-tard, you know, like and just like lie, cheat, steal, manipulate, all these things, and you get lauded on social media for it, and you can actually get a big following and make a bunch of money, and it's like that's crazy. It's crazy, right? So like, yeah, humans need to figure that out, or we end up in this idiocracy style of future, right? And maybe you know, but like I said, even if we end up there, like it's the natural progression of evolution as well. Like you kind of have to blow things up at some point and rebuild because there's no pulling it back, right? So it's like, okay, well, now you just sit back and watch with popcorn, I guess, you know, or hope that AI can save us from ourselves.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I bring up Thread Guy who had a following. Wow. Not Thread Guy blocked me? That's really interesting. I don't even how the hell did it block me? Wow, that's super interesting. All right. But like, okay, so you've got a situation where this person has 318,000 views. Well, I'm like stunned. I got blocked. I've never even responded to Thread Guy once in my life. How would I even come across people who should be blocked by Thread Guy? Sorry, buddy, if you're that sensitive that some guy who doesn't interact with you at all, you felt the need to block. That's like mind-boggling. I'm bottled. My mind has been bottled. Anyway, so he's got 318,000 followers. And like I'm bringing this up because like it's super interesting to me because in the context of Idiocracy, his entire image, his entire shtick is effectively a character from that movie.
Yeah.
Right. And yet so many people engage with it and watch it. Like, what meaningful contribution has this individual made to the greater ecosystem? And like, that's an honest question. Like, ask yourself, like, what meaningful contribution is there? And if you want to say wrote threads, okay, great. Maybe they're educational. I am happy being wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Like, you wrote some threads. Great. Maybe you learned something from it. But like, the attention economy is like so so ready to jump on to the next big thing. Whoever's the loudest, who's most in your face, it has like completely, I don't know. Alts, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Like the person in me who is, I think, has a good bullshit detector, right? Like I meet you and maybe we like each other, maybe we don't. It's totally fine. But I trust this bullshit detector to steer me clear of problems. I saw some of these participants on crypto Twitter, and my bullshit detector was just like, just going off. And like, that is not an individual that I feel like is someone who has my best interests in mind when they're speaking. Right.
Right. I mean, very clearly. Right.
I'm struggling to not say, put my foot in my mouth, but like, is it Darwinian? Like, if you can't see that this individual doesn't have your best interests in mind, like maybe you're part of the idiocracy. Like, is that fair to ask?
I never really understood why people gravitate towards that type of thing, but it's like, maybe it's more like primal. Like even going back to like, kind of the first generation of that type of what did you call it? The attention economy, right? Like it's kind of like maybe even going back to like the first talk show days, like where you had these talk shows that kind of started popping up and they were having like these, nice discussions on whatever topics with families or, thought leaders on different things. And then they quickly just devolved into, which is funny because like Jerry Springer came on, right? And it kind of broke the mold. Even at the beginning of Jerry Springer, it was like, it wasn't what we all know it as today. But they realized like, wait a second, if we kind of push the boundaries, we can get more viewers. And then it was like, and then they just started pushing it so far, and then it sucked in and pulled like the gravity of it pulled the other shows to force them into doing the same thing to be able to maintain any sort of viewership. And then even like all the other ones, I'm blanking on all their names, but there was like they were Montel Williams, Ricky Lake, they had like normal shows, and then they started just going off to where they just started doing ridiculous things and just pushing towards just these insane lower tier Cleavon type shit, like, and leaning into that, and then and that just kind of people started just loving it. I don't, it's crazy. I don't know the human psychology of it. I don't know. It's very interesting, but I think there's still a lot of that relevant today. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what the.
I'm gonna have to Google.
Yeah, Ridiculous is gonna come in with a burn now. I don't know. I feel like old man yelling at the sky when I start to. Oh yeah. I feel like old man yelling at the sky whenever I start to get onto these topics. But again, like it blows my mind that Thread Guy blocked me. Probably blocked me because I like made a commentary. Yeah, he goes, "Oh, sorry, your headphones. Nice doodle."
Yeah.
George. He probably blocked me because I like probably retweeted somebody's tweet or like replied and was like, "You're right." But like, okay. Circle this all the way back to there are consequences for free speech. He didn't like what I said. It's completely in his purview to block me. Completely in his purview to block me. Block me if you want. Doesn't matter. I actually love that. I'm okay with that type of interaction.
Yeah.
Right? People can say anything they want in the realm of discourse, but there's consequences for the things that you say. You don't have permission to say whatever you want without consequence. Period. In the context of Web3 now, that's where I start to say, okay, you don't have permission to shill meme coins and get insider allocations and then dump your liquidity on top of the incoming retail, which is effectively all that Pump.Fun was. And there absolutely should be consequences there, because if there's not, then there's literally no need. There's no reason to have formal marketing departments. There's no reason to have real teams building anything. In fact, we should just put a balloon. We should just literally unplug most of the ecosystems that are out there because we're not doing anything valuable. Like at that point, we've created an online casino and that's the end. We've reached the end. That's the end game. Over. This is obviously why people across the entire spectrum of participants are super burned out. Every person who I talk to who is super passionate about world-changing technology in 2019 is now like, God damn, just put me out of my misery.
Well, they've just been hit over the head for years of just like, like different exit liquidity pumps and cycles, right? And like the latest, literally watching someone commit suicide on stream so you can make a coin, and like that's just like that's the bottom of humanity right there, right? Like that's going to suck any sort of vibrance out of the ecosystem. But like also from a monetary side of things, it's like every time you get these extraction cycles from useless stuff, it takes a while for it to rebalance and for you to build a new base, and then from there you can move again through things that actually have value. But it's I think we're still feeling the pain from that extraction cycle.
We had people like Dave Portnoy going on and being like, I'm going to launch a coin today, greed, and I'm not going to sell it until you guys buy, like, okay. Have we lost the fucking plot big time? Like, how is that anything other than like behavior that shouldn't exist inside of this arena?
Well, they're just
I'm-
squeezing every last drop out of it, right? Like at least like NFTs when they died, they had more dignity. Like
there was something offered. There was something offered. Like, yeah, there are plenty of people who are speculating on it, but there was something that was there. This was purely a game of financial chicken that we allowed people to manipulate via the attention that they got to literally extract money from people who were dumb enough to play. Like you can't even go into a local convenience store unless you're 18 to buy a scratch ticket, because you don't have a developed enough brain in their mind to go purchase these pieces of paper and scratch the numbers off. But we have zero guardrails on having a mind that is so susceptible to influence because they have no real world experience to act as an anchor for how they think about things, right? They can become an entrant into a fucking casino where they are being manipulated by these people who are predatory sharks. Their only job, that's what they do best, is to manipulate and influence.
Well, and that's
Something's
manipulate it's a good word, because when you look at the other things, okay, whether it's scratch offs or the lottery or the horse races or casinos or any type of gambling, bingo, all these other things, right? They're regulated, right? There's a government entity that checks on those things and makes sure that they're fair enough that it's reasonable. There's none of that in this, right? So like, by the time you've heard about it, you're already way too late. Like you're going to be risking, you're just trying to fight for scraps, right? Like unless you're in that inner circle and you're one of the scam artists or whatever that like is pumping it into a billion so you can dump or whatever, like, and I don't know, whatever. It's just like it's a game, and everybody's aware it's a game. Cool, and I've participated. We've all participated at some point, right? Like,
how is it not illegal though?
But that's the part I don't understand, right? It's like maybe we.
How is there not consequence? How are there not consequences? And again, there are plenty of people that would want to like take the few words out of my mouth and create some type of political position so they could take the opposite of my opinion. And that is, I'm not giving you any idea for what my actual beliefs are on any political spectrum. I'm just saying, when you are like, I'm watching American Primeval. It's brutal and ruthless and it's the Wild West. If you exhibited this type of behavior in that type of environment, you'd be hung from a tree. You'd be strung up. But here, somehow you can escape without any penalty other than reputational damage. Fuck off. Like, that's not cool. Oh, I stole all your money and I did some shitty stuff. I need to go on a break. Let me take down my Twitter for 3 weeks and then I'll come back and say, sorry, guys. That is not punitive enough. I'm sorry. Like,
well, like even the online reputation stuff should be way more
lasting,
exactly. Like, and that's why like I look forward to when we have more on-chain reputation, because then if you torch that, like you're done. That's going to follow you everywhere you go forever.
If you fuck up your credit score, it takes a decade to bring it back.
Yeah.
Right? But you can, again, thinking just I've got a kind of hair across my ass because I got blocked by Thread Guy now, but it's like that guy is out there at best, fringely connected to scam artists. I'm talking at best. At worst, he is right in the center of that scam. And he can, in 3 weeks in the attention economy, just kind of ease by it. And now no one's paying attention to it. No, that shit needs to be a black mark for much longer. And then that's a disincentive to exhibit that type of behavior. Snake oil salesmen used to travel from town to town because people would get wise and you couldn't be around, right? Yeah. Con men, that's why con men used to move frequently. You had to move because your reputation was so shit. And somehow here,
well, and the dangers of the people in that city wanting to mess with you, right?
But somehow here we are willing to we have such a short memory. Like this doesn't even make sense to me. Like I don't, it doesn't fit within my like worldview. And you can call my Illuminati. Like you can call my worldview like narrow in scope, but I don't think it is. I think that I'm an intelligent human being that is a critical thinker that honestly has a very encompassing and embracing view of humanity. But because of that, because I'm an adult who has dependents, who cares about my community, I'm going to call out the bullshit. And I think there should be consequence for it. Like, fuck, I don't think I'm wrong. I think I make more sense than the people who are not imposing these consequences. Period.
I mean, bring back shame and guilt and consequences and yeah, like, right? Like, I think the digital life, yeah, it's gotten too far away from that because, yeah, like you said, it's just so easy to just side skirt it.
You could say, how are we going to regulate that? But I don't need the hand of a regulator in here either. I just need to like believe that humanity is not so fucking stupid that like you forget the guy who conned you 3 weeks later. Come on.
You forget it because you have the ability, maybe, the opportunity maybe to make some money out of it. So then you'll just throw it to the side. And it's like, no.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could go and I could get super mad about this and continue to bitch. I think you get my point. I bring it up only because like, if we wrap this back, take the conversation back to when it wasn't posted, blockchain is just a technology. It can be applied to solve any number of problems, just like compute is literally just, it's a way of thinking. It's a method for problem solving. And you can apply it to solve lots of different problems, but you have to be creative with how you apply that compute power.
Right.
Right now, fucking buying Fartcoin is not creative, inventive, helpful. Insert adjective here. It's just not. So like, revisit why this started, right? Revisit why any of this started. And if you want to call it a psyop, right? Like a government psyop to undermine, humanity and put us all on some digital currency, then okay, fair enough. I'm actually starting to think that might actually be why this all started, to enslave us more. Seriously though, I mean, how else could you explain how else could you explain humanity going down the complete dark path, nihilism of just like shit trading meme coins and ignoring all other possible good that could come from this tech? Like I can't reconcile why that would happen, but that's where we're at right now.
Well, I think a lot of that energy came into this space because of a quick buck. I can make a quick buck following this degen, They probably didn't understand or know like where this technology could actually take us, I think that's a big part of it. Just their introduction to it was a scam, Yeah.
Does it risk do we run the risk of it collapsing on itself under its own gravity? Meaning, and I won't say blockchain, I will just call it like today's culture. Will today's culture of this attention economy, this hyper influence, does it run the risk of like it ran out, it expanded so fast, and there's going to be this boom, massive contraction because things there's a harmony to life and it's got to balance some way?
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's not sustainable, right? Like if the whole metric is just attention and extraction, that's not sustainable, right? So yeah, I mean its days are numbered. How that's going to play out, who knows? But
is it like the excesses of the Roaring 20s brought on the really painful times of the mid and late 30s and that Great Depression? Like societal excesses now, you could see it in the United States, right? Societal kind of move towards the boundaries created this like elastic snapback in local politics. So I say local to our country politics of like, man, more conservative views around family, more conservative and nationalistic views around how we impose power, project power throughout the world. Like all of this stuff, we're watching it in real time. And like the part that is maybe like even more interesting is like trying to figure out where it's going, because it's so polarized right now.
I wonder that every day. I think about that because it's fascinating to try to imagine, extrapolate out where it's headed. I think, I mean, the best way to exist as a human is probably with balance, right? Like if you can exist in the middle, that's where harmony lies. Now, yeah, through all these vectors of corporations and governments and other entities, like yeah, we've ended up in this very bipolar situation. You know, you can call it the left and the right, whatever, and it's like really where we want to be is in the middle. But once one side pushes far, the other side has to then push far out the other way, and you just keep going further and further and further, and eventually it'll snap and collapse and roll back in, and then you have this harmony again, and then it'll play out again, and we just slowly diverge from there, because that's just the way human nature works. But even like you look at the U.S., yeah, with the dollar, it's like clearly that's not sustainable. That's going to collapse at some point, and I think they're really good at kicking the can down the road. Because like nobody really, like no administration you could say wants to be the ones where it completely collapses, because that'll be a lot of pain, right? Going back to the Great Depression type era, like no, nobody wants that. So they find a way to kick the can down the road and just let the next generation deal with it. So I think what you're going to first see is more extremes, right? You're going to see more extreme ups and downs, but they're going to be quicker. I think you'll see. I think. Like even now, it's like with the stock markets, yeah, we could probably pump to new all-time highs the rest of the year, and then and then it'll crash again, and then it'll go up again, and it'll crash again, and eventually the wheels just fall off because people realize this is insane. I can't even hold on to this roller coaster anymore, and then that's when it kind of completely collapses, and you get back to this kind of archaic state. And then in that archaic state, that's where you find the balance, because then humans need to harmonize and work together. You can only have these attitudes in a modern society where things are just done for you, right? Once life gets way harder, it's like, okay, you don't worry about all these extreme views. No, you just want to survive, right? So I think it's just a natural cycle that way.
You ever get the feeling that like, again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm some deep philosophical thinker, because I'm really not. I'm just like making commentary on what is in front of me, and I am struck constantly with like this counterculture, quote unquote. The people who think they're counterculture are anything but. Like it is like in the race to be different, we've created this sea of sameness and completely lost identity. Like identity is like the idea of being an individual is so foreign to this counterculture who believes that by dyeing their hair, they've become individualized, which is, again, maybe it is, maybe it isn't an idea of their own individual expression. Did they dye their hair because they really wanted to be an individual, or because they were trying to gain acceptance into a crowd of people who also dye their hair? I use that as a very simple example, but like I'm struck by that, Alts.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. Like, so kind of what you're saying is through trying to be counterculture, trying to be different, you actually become more the same, and you're manipulated to where you're almost more of an individual without an identity. Like you're more left to your own vices versus a human nature culture where differences are accepted and promoted, and it's like, okay, cool, I'm like this and you're like this and we're individuals. And then that's when you have like people come together and work together, and you can have better relationships and family and culture and community, right? Like it's so fascinating that it's like it's kind of the opposite of what you would think.
Like, is society progressing? Is it any movement, any counterculture will start with some authenticity.
Right,
It
right,
has
yeah.
to.
And then it gets hijacked at some point. Yeah.
Are we at the point where like whatever the zeitgeist would consider counterculture is just the culture, and the real counterculture is now this what like the 1950s mom and dad household? Is that counterculture now?
Yeah.
You know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
well, and here's the thing. You can stand in the middle and have your views and your values or whatever. If you just stand there long enough, you will become counterculture just from the cycles of those sides moving back and forth, right? Like because they just move from one extreme to another because that's where the money is made, right? If you push other people in the middle out to extremes, they just bicker and fight, and then you can just like steal all the money in the middle. You know, if you're the if you're the ones making the money. But yeah, like I don't know. We're kind of at an interesting point, like to where we've kind of circled back to like the 1950s. Like that's like the the true American dream. It's like some people want that again, and it's like, but also maybe there's like two sides to the counterculture. Maybe the actual counterculture is just being moderate in the middle, like,
Yeah, it kind of feels that way, right? Like again, I wouldn't call myself I've never like worked hard to label myself from like what my ideologies are.
Right. Same.
But I mean, if you really want to ask, I mean, I'll give it to you. It's like I'm pretty socially quote unquote liberal. Meaning like I'll accept a lot of behaviors. I don't care. Do whatever you want under your own roof, right?
Yeah.
And like I am accepting of cultures, creeds, religions, lifestyles. It doesn't bother me. I am fiscally conservative, stay out of my pocket, right? In the same, like, I don't feel like that's crazy. I do feel like as I've sat here when I was young, my general stance would have been considered super liberal. And I know this because, I mean, you get out of school and you talk to people and this is how you are. I haven't moved much.
Right. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. To your point, like my general view on life has not moved, but I find myself in a position on the spectrum, which is like a different position entirely, where now me just being accepting isn't enough.
Yeah.
Right. Unless I'm the flag bearer for your movement, I'm not accepting your movement. That is nuts. That's fucking crazy. Right. Like that's a level of like mental gymnastics, to use that term, that I am incapable of going through and performing. Right. What you're saying is you're so accepting that you can't accept that I'm not willing to be the champion of your cause. Like, fuck off, man. Like that is that's pretty crazy. The logic that you're bringing.
Well, that's the thing, the logic gymnastics. Yeah. But it's like, I don't even know. I don't know what to say to that. But yeah, it's like, when somebody says that they're so smart and they're so in the right, but it's like everybody's just they have their own perspective, right? Everybody's standing in their spot on that spectrum, right? It's like everybody has a different human experience. There's no one that is right, because like you said, even if you stand in one spot, you're going to be changing sides, right? Even the sides themselves flip flop, and they're like completely reversed sometimes, So it's like just the fact that it gets distilled down to like I'm abhorrently hate just the concept of a two-party system. Like the fact that it gets boiled down to even the concept of liberal and conservative, that should be applied to individual topics, not a full value system, right? Like you said, I'm liberal about relationships and culture, but I'm conservative about money and whatever else. It's like, why can't it just be that? Why can't we just, why should one topic define your entire value system? That's so stupid. It's so stupid.
It doesn't have to be binary. Like you said, there's bipartisan beliefs, just like my beliefs around what this industry, blockchain, because that's why we're here and we participate. Right. Like what blockchain can be. Why does it have to be binary? Why does it have to be all tokens or no tokens.
Yeah.
Like, why can't it be a blend? Why can't it be this and that, not this or that? Like, it's just like, it's really extreme thinking. And I'm highlighting it because, like, even the people who think, my Apple Watch, I hit the timer periodically and it keeps going off. It's like annoying. The people who were supposed to be inclusive are the most extreme in their thoughts. And like, that is crushing mentally for me. And I can see it evidence across lots of different domains. And maybe it looks a little different in each one of those domains, but like, there's a common thread that absolutely connects them all. So if it's in the case of the Solana meme coin casino, again, these are people that are saying meme coins are great for all. Come in, join. They're great for everybody. It's capital formation. It's the new paradigm. Come join us. Come join us. Come join us. But if you say, hey man, I don't know, that looks like a scam to me, I'm the asshole for saying that. Right? Like, wait, I thought all opinions were okay under this tent, right? Like, I thought this could hold up to some intellectual rigor. I thought, you're calling it the new paradigm. I thought it's okay if I say, is it? Right? Like,
Well,
I don't, I don't know, alts.
Well, I think like there's different sides or different angles to the attention economy too. Like you were talking about that type of mentality. I think like virtue signaling is just like another currency in, attention economy. Like, why can't we just like, I don't know, like maybe being counterculture is just applying logic to everything. Right? Like,
just having some critical thought, being okay with like, it'd be great if we got 5 more people up here and they were trying to poke holes in every thought process that I had. And I would love it. That would be great. Come on, tell me all the ways that you think I'm wrong. And let's have a civilized conversation about it. And we can agree to disagree or disagree and agree at the end. Like, I don't care how it goes, but like, we should have opportunities to chat this shit out. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what the views are. Like, there's always middle ground, right? We're humans at the end of the day. We all share something in common.
Yeah. Where like the name of this little show is New Standards. And yeah, I mean, we could get on and we could talk the Luxo ecosystem all day long. People will watch because they'll want to try to find out, is there anything going on? Did I miss something? Does this mean tokens going to go up? Is that important? Right? Like, that's important to me. On a day like today, I didn't feel like talking about Luxo. And that's okay, because it's not the only thing in my life. And it shouldn't be the only thing in your life. And this constant hunt for alpha, number one, most of you are not good investors. You're not. You're just not. So like, don't try to front run.
Most humans in general. Yeah.
Don't try to front run opportunity because you think you know better than the next person. There's a lot of money to be made on informational asymmetry. And that's why insiders are always going to crush you, right? That's why Thread Guy has millions of dollars and doesn't give a shit about taking the money from you, because the way this works, when you lose money, someone gains that money, right? It doesn't disappear, right? Big wallets are literally taking it away from you. So like, when you participate in that type of economy, it's not circular. They don't insert that money back into the economy for you to then add a good or service that you can participate and makes your life better. So like, they are capitalizing on the informational asymmetry where you just cannot gain access to the information that's there. What Alt and I talk about a lot is the utility-based economy, the idea that this technology can be used to improve life, can be used to solve problems, can be used to do interesting things. And that's what we talk about with New Standards. So like, today, I felt like bitching a little bit about just humanity in general, because looking at the greater structure of the market, a lot of people I talk to outside of this, just in my general life, they're tired. They're actually tired, right? It's hard to know what to do at the moment because it feels weird. It feels weird. I don't know how else to say it. Read
But
19. Yeah.
I mean, so but yeah, I guess it's important to understand that that is cyclical, right? Once something plays out, now it's like, okay, it feels weird because like where does all that energy go? And people are trying to figure out, well, what's the next what's the next thing I can make a bunch of money on, and that's what they're searching for, right? But it's like there's some downtime to that. After a cycle, a little bubble bursts and money was extracted, it's like, okay, well then what's the next narrative, right? So like, yeah, I mean, if you want to, you can front run, but it's like a different strategy. You don't front run by trying to get in on following somebody else's, call. No, you do some research, you figure out where is the informational asymmetry, where is the skate to where the puck is going, not chasing the guy with it. You know what I mean? Like that's out there. That alpha's out there, but it's way harder to find or to distill,
Yeah. Again, getting to the end of this, I'm feeling like old man yelling at the cloud today. It's not for lack of interesting things that we could look at, but being, I feel like I won't use the word moral to describe myself. Being a logical participant, being someone who again has dependence, being someone who has the best interests of others in mind most of the time, if not always, right? Like it pains me to look at the greater ecosystem and see the absolute charlatans that we are following, because they're offering you nothing. They're literally taking everything from you, from your attention to your wealth. They're draining you. It's like a parasite.
Yeah.
And like, people don't see it, and I don't understand it. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, we won't be better. We won't get better until we act better. Like, and I say we, I just mean the collective space, right? If everybody just like supported the actual builders and the people that are contributing, like we would be in a completely different scenario.
Yeah, all that money that was lost to pockets that are just buying Lambos, never inserting anything else, do not give a shit about you or the betterment of society. If you took that money and you invested it in products and teams, this could be anywhere because they exist. Products and teams that you really believed in and you supported because you cared about their vision or their goal, the world would be a better place, but we don't do that, right? We don't do it.
No, because I mean, as humans are stupid, and like a human can be very smart. People together are stupid, but it's like, I mean, if you kind of look back to the internet and the way that evolved and played out in the bubbles that it had, it's very similar, right? Very similar. So I mean, but in the end, like the true utility will win out. That's just the way it always works, But it's like, yeah, people treat it like the Wild Wild West when they can, and they, before rules are in place, or whatever, and they just try to extract as much as they can, just because they see an opportunity, as opposed to like, I mean, man, we had a chance, as crypto, Web3, right, blockchain, like, okay, we can see all these issues with Web2 that we hate, that we're disgusted by, let's be different, let's be virtuous and true, and it's like, no, there's too many bad actors still, you can't do it.
I feel like, there's this like, when you travel, and because I'm from the US and you're from the US, you get outside the US, or there's little pockets in the US, maybe, although it's disappearing fast. But you go down to the local main street and there's like the local grocer or the local hardware store or the local shoemaker. Again, I'm being super probably generalized, and
we're talking small town. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, small town America. But like I'm saying, like small town businesses, small scope businesses, but like businesses that invest in the local economies because they employ people who live in those towns. The money stays there. It moves around. It enriches the local area. We have divorced that model and we've created these mega conglomerates that are siphoning money out from these local populations, and you see the pain. Now, if you travel, again, go abroad, again, super generalizing here, but like the charm of some of these other places that you visit is that economy still exists. You can still catch your local butcher. You can still catch your local cobbler, right? And I know that's an outdated industry, but like the idea is the cobbler making shoes.
Oh, I was imagining like a little shop with like pies. It's like peach cobblers and like.
Oh yeah, like a local bakery,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, I'm bringing this up because like in the context of like crypto, we've eschewed the value creation and then virtuous value cycle of these of like small participants that are trying to solve problems, trying to launch businesses. And instead we're just like dumping it into, it's not a perfect metaphor because like, you know, again, Frank de Gods isn't the Walmart of crypto, but like from an artistic perspective,
Sure.
right? Everyone buys a DeGod, or everyone buys a Bored Ape, or everyone buys a clone or a Pudgy Penguin or God knows what. Do you love that art? What are you getting from that art? But how many artists are out there that like you would make a huge difference in their day with a small sale, right? And we just can't
imagine your blockchain, your ecosystem, like a little small town, right, in America. It's like, okay, the KOL, Walmart shows up, or let's say what's the big bookstore?
Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble shows up. Yeah, I'm trying to think of this movie with Tom Hanks, right? And like,
oh yeah, you got mail. That's what it is.
I want to say it was right, but
yeah,
it's like,
mail.
yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, it's like, okay, the Barnes and Noble shows up, so it's like, okay, you can choose as a person in that city. Okay, I can go to Barnes and Noble's and I can save 10 cents to go buy a book, or I can go to my local store, cost me 10 cents more, but I'm supporting them, and that we know that money stays there. Versus the Barnes and Noble money, where does that go? To the CEO, and who can go buy a third yacht somewhere, whatever. Like that money does not, it's just getting extracted, right? But the average person in that small town probably doesn't understand. They're just like, man, I really need that 10 cents because then I can go, put that towards whatever,
Just
yeah, I mean, and that's just the monetary side of things, right? Like you also forget about the culture that you're losing, right? Because there's no culture in Barnes and Nobles, right? Like it's just
it's the same culture. I've got a Japanese friend on Maui. His name's Alika. He talks about it all the time. He's like the Californication of the entire Hawaiian Islands. You're just stamping strip malls in paradise. Like, what the hell are you doing? You're erasing local culture and you're replacing it with this like sanitized, replicated culture. What is that? And that's like across America, but that's also what we're doing to all of these ecosystems. We're trying to create sameness. And again, because of that, how do you differentiate? And again, go back to like, you dyed your hair and you pierced your belly button. Did you differentiate, or do you make yourself part of this global herd that's all doing the same thing? Did you do it because you wanted to do it and it was something that you really felt like was an expression of your internal character? Or did you do it because you saw other people do it? Right? In blockchain, where we are now, like, do you really like meme coins, or are you doing it because there's pressure from KOLs to invest in meme coins, so you feel like you just wanted to get in on whatever was cool or what seemed like the next big thing? And in the process, how much real culture did you destroy? Ethereum mainnet is a fucking ghost town right now, right? And the whole point of people not using mainnet was because gas was too high. You could do anything you want on the layer one right now. No one's doing it. It's completely insane. It's insanity. And, like, everyone's so concerned now. Just I'll turn it to Luxo. Oh my God, Abstract is coming up and they've launched an interface that looks like universal profiles. Well, fuck, if you were actually concerned about the things you say you are, free speech and decentralization, and distributed networks and all these other things, then you might choose the authentic ecosystem. But again, it's all lip service. Instead, we're just like going for the Walmart, going for the, I'd rather, instead of go to Europe, I'd rather travel around Disney World's Epcot and like just visit the countries, like, oh, I've been to Japan. Where? Epcot. Like that's just like humanity in general. Again, old man yelling at clouds today,
Yeah.
but
It's just disappointing, to see us headed towards idiocracy.
I don't want it to get
step
there.
by step,
I don't want it to be there. I want people to engage in some authentic manner. Like, use your brain, come to your own decision, test your thoughts. Don't be afraid of like examining the why you do something. And if you arrive at because someone told me to, like, fuck, danger, like red lights, start flashing them, baby. Like, time to reevaluate. This is how I raised my kids. This is how, like, when I taught school, this is what, like, the lessons I tried to give the people in front of me all the time. They'd be like listening to the latest song that came out, and I'd be like, have you listened to the lyrics?
Right.
They're like, nah, man, the beat, it's hot. I'm like, listen to what is being said and ask, then let's evaluate, are you okay with this message? And they'd be like, oh, mister, you don't get it. Okay, fair enough. Punch it up, put it on the projector right up on the board, and I'd read it like it was a paragraph.
Yeah.
And the cringe factor would be on level 11 out of 10, right? And people would be like, the kids would be like, oh my God, I can't even believe you're saying this. And I'm like,
yeah,
this is the stuff you're putting on the radio with your 3-year-old brother sitting there, or like, you think it's appropriate to play in a public space where you're blushing. You're like, almost can't even look at me because I just uttered that sentence. Like, come on. We just, again, I feel like we're beating a dead horse now.
Yeah,
It's beating a dead horse a little bit, but really driving home the point here. The reason I continue to come back to the well every day, which is blockchain, the reason that I am unabashedly a Luxo supporter is because I think there's authenticity here. There's an authenticity here that in the short term has been ignored, but I feel like in the long term is undeniable. That's my take.
Well, yeah, authenticity is right. Like, that's such a good word for what attracts us to this blockchain, right? Like, because we can, and we're forward thinkers, right? We like to imagine, like, I'm a pessimist in some ways, right? But I also hold out hope that humanity will figure it out, right? And along that path of figuring it out, like, yeah, Web3 blockchain is like what the best tool we know of, right? That will help get us there. So, but it's on us to lean into, the type of future that we want. So yeah, Luxo in general is going to help that a lot because it allows for certain things. It allows for that authentic, organic culture to brew and grow, right? Like, as opposed to just like someone coming in with the Web 2 mentality and just like, siphoning off energy and just running with it, like, no, we're trying to actually build a cohesion of that small town, right? We're trying to we're building this economy. And we're about to open up a bridge that's going to connect us to some other, cities and towns, right? Like, that's a really big thing. So when they come here, it's like, okay, cool. They'll be like, man, it's like when you go travel like to these other foreign countries, you go to Europe and stuff. And it's like these small, like you come over to Luxor, you're like, wow, this is really sweet. They got a cobbler. We don't have a cobbler where I come from. Like, that's really cool, like, or like they'll see types of shops that their city doesn't have, right? So it's like, it's really great. You want to really foster the organic core stuff. I think it's really, really key, especially, the concept of the profile and identity and reputation, right? Like, because that's stuff that can just be evergreen, that you can just continue to foster. Like, it can have that small town vibe while still growing it, into perpetuity.
For sure. All right, I think we cap it there because I think we beat this dead horse enough.
It's dead. It is now glue.
It is,
something together.
Yeah, it's now glue. All right, buddy. Well, I always enjoy talking to you.
Yeah, me too, man. A quick note for the fam out there, the Luxo fam. So you have about there's like 2 months left. I don't know what the official day is, but to get that Lix migrated. We have about 2 months left, so make sure you get that stuff migrated. And then there's still some more staking opened up with Universal Page yesterday, like, I don't know, 350,000 worth. Now it's, I mean, maybe a third of that's already gone. So it'll probably go fast because people are buying cheap Luxo and they're staking it. You know, it's a good, solid strategy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, before we head out, let me try something new here. Let me.
All right.
Okay. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Smell map.
Smell map who?
Gross, bro. That is disgusting.
Uh,
You bastard. That is so gross. I will never do that.
You got me. That was a good one. You got me.
I got him. I need to add that to the soundboard. Got him.
You got me.
Yeah.
You got another one coming behind that, or is that it today?
I can do another one. So, how many emo kids does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Honestly, Alts, I don't know how many.
None. They just prefer to sit in the dark and cry.
Oh God, that's terrible and hilarious at the same time.
It looks like people are bringing emo culture back, you know. So I see it out there.
Have you seen the professor who just like wakes people up in class and they fall asleep by singing emo songs in their face?
No, I gotta find it.
Night will be the night all for you. We'll pull that up next time.
Okay, cool.
All right, I've got things to do, so we're gonna jump.
Same. All right, well, it was a
Thank
pleasure,
you.
buddy. You guys enjoy your day. Thank you.